Welcome to Lynn Cullen Live. Talk radio without the static. Email your questions and comments to lynncullenshow@gmail.com. And now your host, Lynn Cullen.
Yep, that's me. How you doing? It's a beautiful day, at least at the moment, here in Pittsburgh, PA. My sister's in Chicago, Illinois. I don't know how things are there, but I guess we'll find out, Suze, as soon as I wait. As soon as I get the right screen up here and unmute you. There. Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
It's like someone takes a cork out of my mouth.
Yeah, well, indeed. Speaking of weather, I was just right before the show started. I got waylaid by one of those things that pops up on your screen, and it said it was a dire thing from weather saying possible tornadoes, severe storms, yada yada yada, this afternoon and evening. And I'm thinking, and I'm looking outside, and it's the sun's shining and the sky's blue. And do you remember when, we didn't have so much information so that you didn't have to, your anxiety didn't have to kick in
Well, no, the
hours
whole point,
before?
they are now actively trying to create anxiety so that you go to their sites and create traffic that they can charge.
Right.
So
Right,
they
of course.
can, charge more for advertising. So, you can't even rely on what they're telling you. The headline on the news, like on the television news, will be severe storms upcoming. And then when you get to the actual thing, it goes, yeah, they're going to miss us.
Well, the thing is yes, they may. Now, I'm not suggesting that people
No, but I'm just saying
shouldn't
that's
be warned.
an example of the way
I
they
know,
do things.
but it's gotten so insane that we, because
But they teach you not to pay attention.
or people react in two different ways. They either pay too much attention because they're anxious and made anxious, or they, as you say, just say, look, you tell me this every 5 seconds. It doesn't necessarily happen. I'm living my life. And then you don't pay attention when there is something you need to pay attention to.
Well, actually, what I do in that situation is I go to like my radar app.
Yeah, me too. That's what I do. I go to the radar.
And look with my own eyes,
Yeah,
and
me too.
At my location.
Right. So, yeah, there's that. But, I just, this.
Well, that's like our whole lives now. It's
It
just
is.
verify.
Well, it is.
Verify.
And it's becoming more difficult to verify. And there is no doubt when, I've watched the evolution of what was important in television news. And weather was always one of the biggest things because they knew that's the one thing that
Affects everybody.
Everybody was interested. And so they had to make it more of even when I think there's a station in town that calls their weather, the department, severe weather forecast. Like even when it's glorious for weeks on end, it's still the severe weather. There's always this sense of you listen to us or you die. Right? I hate it. I hate it
too.
And a lot of people, I'm thinking there's so many times that people have altered plans, and then nothing happens. Or things often do seem to skip Pittsburgh. I think it might be our topography where they just go south, goes north.
The hills,
it just goes around.
Redirect stuff.
Yeah, it goes around us.
But I end up changing plans if it looks like it's a bad, I don't want to I have an hour drive in different directions to see my children, now that they've each
Yeah.
in their own homes. And you bet that I check the weather because I don't want to be stuck, driving through and making an hour drive a 2-hour drive. I'll see him another day.
Yeah. So anyway, I don't know. It just, whatever. So,
Yeah.
all
Well,
right.
yes. So I find it interesting that Trump is now upset because people are posting, retailers like Temu and Amazon are when you order something online and it says it's $12, and then when you get the invoice, it's like $54 because there's a $38 import fee attached.
Well,
So a $19 dress has a double the size import fee and now costs $54 with taxes and shipping.
yeah.
And so Amazon is one of the companies that is doing this. And, just saying, no, we got to charge you this and this is why. And Trump is like apoplectic, of course, because he's calling it un-American to disclose
Reality.
Tariffs.
What the impact of his tariffs?
The impact of his tariffs.
Well, you know what? It's just I'm so sick of it, and we're barely into it. But one of the positive things that resulted from Trump's BS and his threats to Canada and his imposition of tariffs there is that it revitalized their Liberal Party, which was about to go belly up. And he has single-handedly, just absolutely elevated the left in Canada. And
right, and all the people that were doing so well, running on the anti-woke slate, lost.
Right. Because I love it. I hope that that's a harbinger of how Americans will vote.
Me too.
As well.
But what happened there is that it won't be as easy, because what happened there is that there are so many different parties that regularly draw, a substantial part of the vote, such that they cobble together majority and minority positions.
They have a parliamentary system.
So it's not two parties, liberal and conservative. It's several. And what happened here is it did turn into two parties.
Yeah.
And all of those little factions went to their logical place, and most of them went.
It was fascinating. So think about this guy who's divided his own people
has united everybody else.
United everyone else. It's a nice trick. It works for everybody but us. But yeah. So you saw, I'm sure, the great rant that Pritzker did in New Hampshire.
Oh, I just want to tell people they could do worse than go with this man for a president.
He's good.
He's a good man.
Mm-hmm.
And really wants what's best for the people.
Yeah, he's a good guy.
And seems able to make things happen. He's certainly been good for the state of Illinois.
But
he's been very good for the state.
But he's got he's in a good position in that he has a state in which his party controls the legislature. So he's been able to. So many other really good governors, though, are spending most of their time just trying to
stay alive, right?
Pulling
Tony Evers' rule,
exactly, and Shapiro here too. It's just that. But what Pritzker showed, and I mentioned this yesterday, was he showed that Democrats have to change the way they speak. They've got to show passion. They have to change their vocabulary.
They have to get us fired up.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. We don't have the fire. And David Brooks wrote a great piece about how if Trump and his crowd have one thing, they have the certainty that they're right and the passion and the recklessness to do whatever has to be done. You might, whatever. But we are milk toasts next to them. So Pritzker, I had just another few lines of his for anybody who might have missed it, just because I like he was. I mean, the crowd was up and screaming every 5 seconds. He said, "Hey, Democrats need to stop wondering if you can trust the nuclear codes to people who don't know how to organize a group chat. It's time to stop ignoring the hypocrisy in wearing a big gold cross while announcing the defunding of children's cancer research. And time to stop thinking we can reason with a madman. Time to stop apologizing when we are not wrong. Time to stop surrendering when we need to fight." And he's just, getting started. Our small businesses don't deserve to be bankrupted by unsustainable tariffs. Our retirees don't deserve to be left destitute by a Social Security Administration decimated by Elon Musk. Our citizens don't deserve to lose health care coverage because Republicans want to hand a tax cut to billionaires. Our federal workers don't deserve a 19-year-old Doge bro called Big Balls destroy their careers. Would that he were making this stuff up. And then finally, autistic kids and adults who are loving contributors to our society don't deserve to be stigmatized by a weird Nepo baby who once stashed a dead bear in the back seat of his car. I like it. And it's not as if anything he's saying there
isn't true.
Yeah. So.
No, he's speaking for all of us. Thank God.
Yeah. So he should keep it up. And he's showing the way. He's showing there are a number of people out there that are showing that are changing the MO and
the tone,
usual.
yes.
And they got to keep it up. And like Chuck Schumer needs to go away.
Oh my God, if he peers at me over the top of his glasses one more time, I mean, him fired up is raising an eyebrow.
And just go away. Hated to see, the corruption and the biggest grift in American history is going on, in the White House every day. I mean, what he does, and the media don't even cover it anymore. I don't even pay attention to it anymore. I mean, he's literally raking in dough left and right, which would be, I mean, in any other administration, he'd be impeached immediately. He'd be out, he'd gone. No, but doesn't work with slippery.
It doesn't work, but because the Supreme Court gave him a pass,
total pass. So, did you see? I forgot where I saw it. One of his billionaire buddies has opened up a private club in Georgetown, of course, the fancy part of DC. And this club is called the Executive Branch. And you have to be invited, of course, to join it. It is by invitation only. And if you're invited and if you pass muster, I'm thinking the entry fee is really low. I'm a little shocked by it. You only have to initially pony up $500,000. which is not a lot.
Not a lot for no.
No, $500,000 gets you in to the executive club branch. No, it's called the executive branch. And the guy who found,
this might be another case of they're just absolutely telling the truth.
Yeah, right out in the open.
Out in the open.
Yeah, and it says
it costs you $500,000 to get access to the executive branch.
That's right.
And here's the front.
That's right. And Politico reported on it and said it's designed. I mean, the mission statement of the founder, whose name is Omid Malik, he's a Trump mega donor. It is designed to allow top business executives to talk privately with Trump advisors and cabinet members. Do you believe?
Yeah, so they're just flat out selling access.
It's beyond belief. Not. I say that and then say not because it's not with these guys. And there is already there's a long waiting list of people begging to get in. Unbelievable. The executive branch. You will not be being invited. You will not gain entry. This is Trump's idea of democracy.
But, it's Trump's idea of another way to make money.
Yeah, but you know what? So, this is the kind of thing where it shows how overwhelmed we are and how much has changed. It really, that gets no attention at all because
right, no one's batting an eyelash.
No. So Trump. So we've gone through 100 days. Who's counting? And he's comparing his 100 days to FDR's 100 days, and there, there are for once he's got some measure. There's some reason for the comparison, in that FDR too just hit the ground running and blew up everything in 100 days. Only he did it legally. He passed laws, bipartisan legislation that changed everything. He instituted, whole agencies and governments. He was trying to save his country and the people in it. And he acted so quickly and with such speed and vigor. And look at Trump, the same speed and vigor, but pure destruction. And destruction of everything that FDR put in place. The attempted destruction of that government which we have known and lived with, that safety net that we have known, that was the 100 days of Franklin Delano Roosevelt, as opposed to the, two rich New Yorkers, ladies and gentlemen. Beyond belief. Okay, let's do something fun, Suze.
Oh, go for it.
Yeah, did you see the story about the bonobos? I first of all just like saying bonobo.
No, I only know Bonobo as like a shopping place.
What? It is?
Yeah.
What, online? Bonobo?
It's, yeah, but anyway, okay.
Yeah. Well, so then, a bonobo is a cousin, a close cousin of us humans. It's a primate.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's a primate. It looks like it's a big guy. Bonobos share with us 99% of our DNA. So,
wow.
Yeah, when I say they're cousins, I ain't kidding.
No, that's like they got, yeah.
Yeah,
Must,
I'm serious. 99% of a bonobo's DNA is the same as yours. I love it. Anyway, they are at risk, probably because of us, because everything is at risk because of humans. And they only exist in one country in the world, and that's the Democratic Republic of Congo. The only ones left in the wild are there. And they're studied a lot. For one thing, Susan, they're known to be really sexually hot. They like screwing around a lot. It's well known
okay.
about bonobos. And says right here, among
Bonobos just want to have fun.
yeah,
Yes, I
among
got it.
primatologists, it says, boy, man, bonobo, they make lots of love. They carry, they're constantly engaged in heavy petting. Get this, they make sex toys. Now, that's the kind of little 3 words that gets dropped into a story where you say, like, what, tell me more, and there's nothing. It just says they make,
It
somebody
does.
might
They
Google
don't
some,
show you a picture or
no,
make an
no,
example
but
or
somebody,
something.
well, it'd be easy to Google bonobo sex toy. I don't know. Says they make sex toys, says right here in the paper of record, the New York Times. And oh, this is not going to go down well with the MAGA crowd.
They're what? The Republicans?
Yeah, no, they're not Republicans, of course. Because they like having sex with anybody.
Anybody? Right?
Yeah, male, female. They get into
Yeah.
homosexual sex.
Whoever
Well, I'm telling you,
presents.
they're hot to trot. They just, yeah. Um, they have much greater
Can
sexual.
you picture? I'm picturing a bonobo blow up doll.
I don't think that's the kind of sex toy. Aw, it'd be cute. So anyway, it says here too.
I'm also thinking of the trip to into Canada and New York because our brother reached puberty and our parents panicked and we went to New York and the first thing we saw were the polar bears copulating.
Yeah, it was wonderful. No, seriously, my parents, when Bill was showing signs of sexual interest in a cheerleader, they totally panicked and decided, well, I believe we should all go on a family trip. And it gets more absurd because my father at the time had interest in a funeral home. He owned
Well, no, when he
the
bought a
property.
furniture store, which he was running at that time, furniture stores also frequently owned funeral homes because they made the caskets because that's how
Caskets
they procured caskets.
Right.
So it was not so he bought a furniture store, he got a
Ended
funeral
up with
home.
a funeral
That's how
home.
that happened.
Okay.
Yeah.
So because my parents weren't into like kids much, my father
they
came up.
accidentally had 3.
My father
much to their horror.
I know. My father got this great idea. He said, for this road trip, let's take the funeral homes, not the
Bereaved
hearse.
family
Well,
limo.
it wasn't the hearse, but it was that
The bereaved family limo, but it did have like the funeral home, name emblazoned on the doors.
Yes, but it had a window between the front seat and the back, so they didn't have to deal with. We got stuck where the grieving family is supposed to be, and believe me, we were grieving.
And
And
they rolled up the window.
yeah, the windows were up and they were in the front. And so the funeral procession began, and we went up to Canada
But it
first.
was the beginning of the three of us functioning as a unit.
Well,
in protest. It was the first time that I got to be included as part of the protest.
oh man. I remember the first.
That trip was worth its weight in torture for the number of stories that it has provided us.
Yes, it's true. It was. The first one that like mortified me is very early into the trip, and it would have had to be just day 2 or 3 or something. We were, Mom decided that she had to do some laundry. So we drove up to a laundromat in London, Ontario.
Yeah, so that's just across the river from Detroit.
Yeah, well, that's where we were. London. I remember being freaked.
So it's like day
2.
half.
I know, whatever. She had to do the laundry, and I was blown away by that there was a London in Canada. I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I remember that too.
London, Ontario, but was
very impressed.
What was mortifying? I was mortified that again we were driving a black Cadillac limousine.
We were like the Beverly Hillbillies.
You don't see a lot of
our limousine at
Cadillac
the laundromat.
limousine outside of the London, Ontario, laundromat. So anyway, it's just one thing. Our parents continued to just embarrass the hell out of us, and we continued to appall them. And it was the trip from hell for everybody. And yeah, and when we got to the Central Park Zoo, the polar bears, God bless them, went at it. Just when they were trying to get Bill to stop thinking about it. It was great.
And it was the same trip that a bird shat upon Mom's head.
That was Central Park.
We thought it was perfect.
Right. It was perfect. Oh, well, so yeah. Okay, so how did we get on that?
Those were the days. I don't know. It's my fault, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. Bonobos, sex. Because they're very sexual beings.
Right, which reminded me of Bill and
puberty. By the way, though, here's something out of the blue. My brother's 60th high school reunion, which was about 5 years ago.
Right.
He was not going to attend, but my mom, who's always into going to a party, said, "Well, I'll go." So she did. I forget who. I think she found someone to take her. Another one of his, someone who actually, I don't know, but she went. And it was held at Lambeau Field. And so there's my mom she ended up spending a lot of time talking to and being delighted by the cheerleader that Bill had the hots for, Ellen Hickok. I don't think. Lovely woman. Okay. So anyway, there you go. So I haven't even gotten to the main thing about the bonobos, and I wanted to.
Go.
I saved this for you, bonobos. Susan, because I know you'll especially appreciate it.
It's sexual, and my mind is skittering away.
I know, but the sex part stops and the gender part kicks in. So I just had one more.
Cool.
Yeah, I had one more. I had one more line here from the New York Times. With their sexual activity and lower levels of violence compared with chimpanzees, the idea that bonobos are the hippies of the ape world is pervasive. Okay? So they are, cool.
You mean that I don't think of hippies as being their primary identity as sexual. I think of them as being political. That might have been part of it, but
No, they were, believe me, hippies.
I was there. I know. I was there. I know.
A little bit
I stood.
yeah, but sex was the big,
Yeah.
okay. So here's the thing, and this again will not be liked by the current folks in charge. Because bonobos, in the bonobo universe, females rule. Yeah. They share 99% of our DNA, and male domination is not the order of the day for bonobos. Which shows that when we talk about the natural order of things, I dare somebody to tell a bonobo that they're not natural. They are.
Well, and I'm just going to say that the problem here is the written word. Because some guy writes a book that sets up the culture, and women are always, because apparently they're afraid of us, so the first thing they do is subjugate the woman.
That's right. From day one. Yeah.
From day one.
Yeah.
So I'm blaming it on the culture that creates a language that can be written down, and that somebody makes the rule that women are secondary. That has always been man's rule, never been God's rule, and the bonobos prove it.
Well, here's the way. What they've been studying bonobos for a long time, how the bonobos pull it off. I mean, the females are not as physically strong as the males. They are not.
Yeah, but if you want to get close to me, honey, you'll go get me some dinner.
Well, what they do is, and this is how they do it. The females form coalitions. So it's not one-on-one when it comes to power. It's a group of women will take on a male. Says here, when a male bonobo steps out of line.
I want to be a bonobo.
I know, Suze. Hang on. Listen to this. When a male bonobo steps out of line, nearby females band together to intimidate him, and if that doesn't work, to attack him. Now, the women don't always win. But whoever wins, obviously, and whoever loses, the loser loses social status. And the males lose about 70% of the time. So as it goes, they are not the be-all and end-all in bonobo world. And the females tend to have better access to food, choose their mates, and yeah, that's it. The women band together. So yeah, it says here the average female bonobo outranks approximately 70% of the males in her community. And bonobos show that male dominance is not a biological inevitability. Bonobos, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay. Well, the culture has always encouraged, women to not view each other as sisters and compatriots, but as competition, and and that we carried that with us as we entered the employment field, and it's and so I would encourage all women to first look to ourselves and make sure that we're being good partners to our, sister inhabitants, really. Because together we could change the world.
Well, it's why when you think about, the power of this minority of Americans who have now captured our government, if we, again, anytime people realize that if they band together, they then will have more power than the powerful. There is no doubt that we who disapprove of what's happening in our country have more power if we use it, if we can corral it and use it. There's no doubt about that.
Well, there was some guy commenting online about the latest polls, the Trumpian polls by gender, and he was saying his comment was, it's very clear that if I want to have a successful sexual life, I need to not be for Trump. Yeah, I couldn't help but saying, good for you. Glad you noticed that. Because if I were, still of a dating age, or mating age, that would just be a deal breaker. I wouldn't have dinner with you.
And yet, we know that more and more of these young guys are being brought under the sway of these, the bro culture.
These bros, yeah. And there's fight clubs. Did you read about that? I mean, the neo-Nazis are, establishing gyms where they basically create little Nazis.
It's something. No, but so those polls that show. What's fascinating though is when you talk to. There's two quotes that I came across that I want to share, which makes you hit your head. It makes you palm. What is that? Face palm.
Yeah.
Because you think, come on, if you're saying that, how do you then end up with this? Okay, so in one of the stories about the polls, a woman, Mr. Trump supporters, even though they don't approve of almost anything he's doing, are happy to give him more time to see how things play out. And listen to this quote from one of the people who got us where we are. This is a woman in Wisconsin. She's an independent voter. I've actually thought, well, I'm 59. I don't need a whole lot of stuff, and I'm not going to buy a whole lot of stuff. So for me, I just sit back and let it ride for a while, talking about everything costing so much more. And then she says this. The aluminum thing with Canada, that scared me a little because I'm a big Diet Coke drinker. But I think he's using it as a tactic to make things fair and try to make a deal. He's always about the deal. So here's a person with a vote. And the only thing that got her scared was
being threatened by a loss of her Diet Coke.
Yeah. What is?
Can you hear that?
What?
Can you hear the car horn outside my window going?
Yeah, there is a car. Vaguely. And then there's a story today about how food banks are being starved. They've cut just tons of what has always been truckloads of aid coming to local food banks that feed Americans who otherwise would go hungry. And I mean, it is beyond belief. And here's a quote. Another Trump voter, Ripley, West Virginia. One of the things that the Trumps stopped was a Biden program where food banks would buy from local farmers so that they would be getting fresher produce, fresher meat, and it would help the farmers and it would help the local economy and all that, which makes so much sense, right? Sort of farm to food bank. And Trump comes in and closes it down. Now, turns out a guy, an entrepreneur in West Virginia, when Biden instituted that program, said, whoa. So he took out like $1 million loan. He built a slaughterhouse and meat cutting facilities. He expected he would sell 7,000 pounds of ground meat every month to West Virginia food banks for 50,000 a month in revenue. And you know what? He was doing it. And now?
He's out of business.
Yeah, he was told next month's order would be his last. And then it says this. He said he agreed with Mr. Trump's desire to cut waste. But in his view, this was not waste.
This is what everybody says, but not waste.
Right. And then he says this, if Trump knew what was exactly happening here, I don't think he would support that at all. Isn't it amazing? This guy puts $1 million into what looked like a wonderful idea for him and all the way around. The guy he votes for pulls the rug out from under him, brings the roof crashing down, and he still thinks Trump doesn't realize what he did and he would change it if he did. Isn't that something? And then listen, I thought this was a joke. I thought this was a joke because the article goes on to talk about how in West Virginia so many of the churches are actively involved in these food banks, and they, on a daily basis take in seniors and other people and feed them. And how their larders are down to like having in them cranberries, and some canned dates or something. They just don't have the food. And and it said the leaders of one church said they were praying for some other source of food rather than the federal government, because that no longer was providing, prayed that something would replace what was missing. And then in late February, something did. You will not believe the next sentence I'm about to read. The Cheez-It truck crashed.
Hey, this is not funny, but I can't stand it.
No, but if you don't laugh, you're going to die. Listen to that as the next line. Prayed that something would replace it. Then in late February, something did. The Cheez-It truck crashed, said Kim Dacus, who helps run the food pantry at Regeneration Church in Huntington. He was celebrating the fact that a semi hauling 21,000 pounds of Cheez-Its had overturned on the highway, and the insurance company donated the Cheez-Its. Most of them were good, Mr. Dacus said. It was just a few that came in a little bit smashed.
Well, that's a good food source, Cheez-Its.
Yeah. And it said this. Then the reporter felt a need to add, it was a mixed blessing, though. The charities had lost truckloads of meat and vegetables and gained a truck of Cheez-Its.
And they will go to great lengths not to be disappointed in this guy.
Wow.
When they have the nerve to notice that it isn't going quite the way they expected, They still think it's going to turn around and be okay for them. They just don't see the plan.
I wonder why you can. I guess you're so
Because you
invested.
can't be that wrong. If your judgment was that wrong all along, how do you trust yourself at all anymore?
Yeah.
The don't underestimate the power of humiliation to keep people where they are.
Yeah. Kurt writes, hurry up and order your genuine Bonobo crafted sex toys from the Congo before the pause on import tariffs ends.
Did he send a picture? Did
No,
you send a picture, Chris?
No, nobody has sent me a picture. Damn.
I'm afraid it's just a stick.
Something like that, yeah. Gigi writes, I was just going to write you about Pritzker's speech. Wow. It looks like we have some very good candidates coming up. Cory Booker, Hakeem Jeffries did a sit-in discussion on the Capitol steps. Booker's sounding presidential as well. It's good to see some possibilities. One of the things I appreciated about Pritzker's speech was his emphasis on how we need to change how we speak about things. Yes. And how we need to stop apologizing when we're not wrong. These two events have given me renewed hope. And get out there on May Day, folks. Well, May Day is tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. Yeah, May 1st. May Day, folks, there's going to be a rally in front of the Washington County Courthouse. You Washington County guys, from 4 to 6. Okay? Yeah. Yeah. Jesus H. Okay.
Well, I'm glad to see, signs of life.
Yeah, indeed. There are signs of life. So
well, I knew that we wouldn't go down without a fight. I was just impatient for the fight to begin.
Well, it needs to. I mean, it has, but it's just the little teeny tiny steps. And the good news, though, is already seeing that the country is not behind what he's doing, and that is quite clear, not behind it.
Well, and when RFK Jr. starts talking lists, everybody should be just terrified.
He's talking, Susan. Isn't he talking about actually asking pharmacies and getting into our lists about our health information?
He wants people to be reported for being autistic. Yes. They want to access what we view as our private information and use it against us. I mean, this is for years why people said don't get your DNA tested because they can be used against you. And I thought, oh, who cares? Well, I went on. I got rid of my account, and I hopefully destroyed the information. Of course, I don't know that's true, but I pushed the proper buttons. I don't know. It's
well, it can't be legal for CVS to give any information to the government.
Who cares if it's legal, Lynn?
Well, that's true.
I mean, the FBI just said they don't need a warrant to enter your home and search it. That's not legal.
Hey, how's it playing in Wisconsin? Well, I guess you haven't been there since the judge got shackled.
Oh, I think people are just outraged. And another judge, did you see? Just said, "Look, you've got to tell us what you're going to do to protect us because this is untenable." And what she did was appropriate. And the federal government has no right inside her courtroom to be, taking anybody. I mean, the judiciary is speaking up and saying, hey, all you out there you've got to do something about this.
Well, what they're saying,
Or
see, what ICE is doing is saying we can enter that in their lust to destroy
they
as
can go
many.
anywhere they
They
want,
can
anytime they
they can
want,
go
and
into the
take whomever
schools.
they
That's
want.
right. They can go into the courts, the schools, hospitals, you name
Your
it.
home.
Your home. And guys,
And there is a constitutional amendment specifically for that one. No, they cannot enter your home without a warrant for any reason, period. If you say no,
that's enough.
get a warrant. I'm just going to say, make them break your door down. I don't care. This is where I would really draw a line.
Yeah. Yeah. Mm.
Because folks, we can't give up our rights willingly.
Well, that's
we can't. I mean, if they come to your home and what they're doing is illegal, you must at least try to resist.
I think most people are terrified in the face of.
Of course, that's
and
the
they
point.
Don't. Well, that's right, but so they don't stand up. Even
and then when they do what they do, and they outright lie about this, they say, "Oh, these women this willingly took their children away from their medicine and their
Right.
Oh no!
Yeah. Hey, I haven't said anything about this, and it's not a big thing, but it's just another sort of humiliation that I, as an American, felt looking at the man who represents me on the world stage at the Pope's funeral.
What, Trump sleeping through the funeral?
In his bright blue suit.
Well, guess who else wore a bright blue suit?
Who?
Prince William.
He did? I didn't see anything but black.
He wore. It's in the papers today. That's what he wore.
Well, incorrect.
Incorrect. It made me think. Nobody tells them what to do either.
But it's one thing to have the bright blue suit on, but it's another thing to be there in the front row and falling asleep.
No, sleeping through it and not refusing to give the sign of peace before Melania said, "Turn around and shake a hand."
Well, I didn't see all that, but not.
No.
God Almighty. Oh, speaking one more thing of the Pope, I happened to see this. Some rabbi wrote a piece in I don't know where, and an op-ed of some type, and it's because he had found himself invited by the Pope to serve on some kind of a commission, and then after that, the Pope had actually invited him into to have a private audience, and this rabbi wrote a piece. I'm going to read this few little paragraphs here. I see what I did. This guy wrote this in maybe a letter to the Washington Post, perhaps. He said it was quite an experience to have a private audience with the Pope. I mean, he's like, ugh. And he said, so I began to tell him, I am Rabbi Lustig, the child of a Holocaust survivor. I grew up in Nashville, Tennessee. Francis interrupted and said, Bruce, may I call you that? I know who you are. You'd not be here if I didn't know who you are. Now tell me, what keeps you up at night? Now, right there, I so loved this Pope.
Yeah.
I so loved this Pope. And Bruce, the rabbi, said, I said hate speech. And so for the next hour, he, Pope Francis, and I came up with strategies to end hate speech. He listened to me, challenged my views, and agreed with me that God spoke the world into being, so speech has the power to create or destroy worlds. I left our audience with a critical lesson learned at the feet of an important teacher. There is only one voice that matters in the end, your own. And he says, it is our responsibility to use our voice to speak out for truth, justice, and compassion. That is how we should honor Francis. That is how a moral voice will not be lost. So I thought that was pretty wonderful.
Beautiful. Yeah, it made me cry.
Yeah. And to, oh, this Pope. Yeah. Well, Susan, you were telling me that, so Susan was with, and I talked some about Aziz and the event, but Susan, broke bread with Aziz, the Palestinian, and who was held by the Pope and whose ear the Pope whispered into. And there's two wonderful men, the Pope and Aziz. Just both wonderful.
Right.
Right?
Well, and the Pope, Aziz is really, these are young men, and Aziz is, authored or co-authored several books. He's, we know of him in Green Bay because Bob Pine has used him as the tour guide
When he goes to
into the
yeah.
when he goes to Israel, and they go all over and have Palestinian and Israeli guides, and
Right.
and in their quest to create peacemakers. And Aziz is so wonderfully comfortable with just anybody who comes in contact with him, and just so delightfully happy, and you're just going, how are you living this history on the one hand and being this let's go out and have a beer guy on the other? He's really quite amazing. But has real definite feelings about things, especially the media in our country, who he finds slants dramatically in favor of Israel in ways that are just, he finds unconscionable, like calling the death of a 6-year-old girl child the death of a young woman.
Oh my God.
As it was reported on CNN. He says, and if you aren't me, your ears aren't hearing that.
No, of course not.
And I am hearing it, and I do know what they're talking about, and my stomach turns.
Yeah.
So he's explaining how he has to fight all of these natural impulses towards anger and stay focused on the humans that pay the cost.
That's right.
And that's what we all have to do in that part of the country. We have to stop murdering each other.
Well, he said that what the Pope said to him was conflict is not in and of itself wrong. It is a human thing. It's what we do with conflict. Do we talk to each other to resolve it, or do we kill each other? And all too often, our answer is we kill. So
exactly, we kill. It's easier to kill. And in this, well, we don't need to get into it. In this case, until the leaders of these factions actually want peace, what the rest of us doesn't count.
Well, and in fact, you can make the argument that Netanyahu doesn't want peace, and nor does Hamas.
No, I would argue that nobody on any side in leadership wants the peace.
That's right. I would agree. They just want to kill. Oh, dear.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Hey, Suze, we're out of time.
Oh, we are. And I
we-
have to get on to my next job.
Well, we all got to get on to our next job. I'm trying to figure out what
Okay.
mine is. I'm trying to think. I've got a lot of things I should be doing. Whether I'll do them or not, I don't know. But,
Well, I'm on my way to a sick kid.
oh, that's right. I hope she's feeling better, Suze.
She should be.
And I hope you don't get whatever she's got. I think of
Right.
children under the age of 8. I think
I'm
of
already
as,
coughing.
yeah, I just think of as, super spreaders. They scare the
Yeah,
heck.
well, they are.
I know, they scare me. Okay.
Well, so far my mushroom pills work. They're a great idea, people. 1 mushroom cap a day, and they really boost your immunity. I'm just a total anecdotal.
You sound like Dr. Oz. Go away.
Okay. Well, Mom hasn't had an infection in 4 years, just saying.
Okay. It depends on what mushroom, Susan, too. Mushroom caps is a big subject. Okay.
No, I mean capsules.
Yes.
Get them at the drugstore. Yeah, okay. Bye.
All right. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. And bye to all of you. And I'm really glad we got some laughs in today, as well as, some horror stories. Man, laughter feels good. Feels really, really, really good. I wish you more of it today.
Lynn Cullen Live, Monday through Thursday from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. and archived at pghcitypaper.com. The opinions expressed on Lynn Cullen Live are those of the host and do not necessarily reflect the viewpoints of Pittsburgh City Paper or its advertisers.